What's up? This is your sleuthing soul checking in for another video. So, I found some Mexican cousins. Let me backtrack a bit. When I'm not connecting relatives and clients to their birth families, in my personal research journey, a couple people that I come back to time and time again is one of my sets of great-great-grandparents. Short of any pedigree collapse and any unconventional pairings, each of us has 8 sets of great-great-grandparents, making a total of 16. My great-great-grandfather Samuel was born in the years leading up to emancipation in southern Maryland in a county called St. Mary's, the first county established in the state. Depending on whether you have a need for speed and where in the county your final destination is, it's about an hour or so drive from Washington, D.C., the capital city and federal district of the United States of America. One of my side missions that makes up part of what will likely be a lifelong passion project is to bridge the gap and unite different branches of my great-great-grandfather's family. According to records, he and his wife, my great-great-grandmother Mary, had 16 children. 11 of them had children of their own, and a couple more with possibles that haven't been confirmed yet. My efforts have been successful so far as I helped bring together over 250 of my great-great-grandparents' descendants for our last reunion, many of us meeting cousins for the very first time. I've been going over my DNA matches on this part of my family, and as one of the few who's been doing a lot of the digging, I've done a pretty good job at labeling my matches by numbered branches on my family tree, starting with branch 1 for my mother, branch 2 for my father, 3 and 4 for my maternal grandparents, 5 and 6 for my paternal grandparents, and so on, all the way to 62 to capture all my 3 times great-grandparents. My great-great-grandfather is labeled as branch 22. If you wonder how I keep all of this straight, I work in a data-driven profession, so organizing and analyzing numbers is second nature for me. At any rate, I stumbled across a guy in my matches list, we'll call him Drake, who kept coming up as a shared DNA match with my cousins and me, and his last name is not one I encounter often, especially not amongst the melanated set by a long shot. Drake and I share 36 centimorgans of DNA, which isn't particularly large, but it's not so small to the point that it's insignificant. Ancestry provides a number of possible predicted relationships, like a 4th cousin, a half-third cousin once removed, a half-third cousin, as well as a half-second cousin once removed, which, considering that I've done a good job at fleshing out the line that we're matching on, B22, I'm pretty sure any kind of second cousin wasn't it. A deeper look gives us the percent chance of any of the relationships listed here, including distant relationship, which I gotta laugh from because it's just a catch-all for everything else. I also discovered that Drake had African ancestry at 2%, and keeping in mind that these are estimates, my initial thought was this was an anomaly because there were no other unfamiliar shared DNA matches showing up that had such a small percentage of African ancestry like him. So with all the available possibilities, I knew there was more to this. In a previous video I recorded, I included a screenshot where I referenced my African ancestry in my DNA test results per Ancestry.com's Ancestral Journeys or Ancestral Regions feature, formerly known as Ethnicity Estimates. You can check out that one, which will be linked in this video's description. Drake also has Mexican ancestry in the double digits, which was even more fascinating to me because his last name didn't fit my preconceived notions there either. So I made a mental note of that too and decided to dig into the paper trail. Since he didn't have a family tree, I was able to put my sleuthing skills to good use by tapping into publicly available sources that led to his parents and grandparents who have ties to the Midwest region of the United States. 3 of Drake's grandparents' lines took me to the Baltic region of Europe, which initially I figured could be a remote possibility of how we may share ties, given the percentage of European ancestry I have and given US history, but I wasn't fully sold considering the percentage of African in his results. I did notice his other grandparent had a common Spanish first name. I traced her to Nueces County in Texas and started building out her lines on a test family tree where I work out possible connections to me and my relatives, whose family lines I research until they're confirmed, at which point I transfer that information to the individual family trees I manage for them. I decided to step away from this for a little while and went outside to touch grass and re-engaged with what some may call a social life. For those who do family history, if you know, you know. Once some time passed, I decided to purchase a premium feature, which allows users to view shared matches of two people below a particular threshold. Once I did this, I came across other matches that Drake and I had in common that shared fewer than 20 Centimorgans. And as I continued to do the deep dive on them, they also had a link to southern Texas. One match directly descended from Drake's grandmother's sibling, and their shared ancestors were born in Texas, but their parents were born in Mexico. Then came another match's adult child, and another who was an NPE, but we'll save that for another time. And they were a degree of second cousins to Drake, which broke through another wall and confirmed their shared ancestors' names: Martin Rodriguez and Monica de la Torres. If you made it to this point of the video, drop the word mexicousins in the comment section. And if you're finding any value in the information presented here, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you can get alerts for all uploads and updates. Per census, marriage, and other records, Martin was born sometime between 1860 and 1870 in Tamaulipas, Mexico, and his wife Monica, at least a decade his junior, was born in the city of Matamoros in the state of Tamaulipas. A little about Tamaulipas. It's a northeastern Mexican state along the Gulf of Mexico. It shares a border with the US state of Texas, making it one of the main crossing points between Mexico and the United States. Originally inhabited by the indigenous peoples, it was colonized by Spain in the 1700s, became a Mexican state after independence in 1824, and has long been important because of its location along the US-Mexico border. Some famous cities in Tamaulipas include Reynosa, which is one of the state's largest cities, and a major manufacturing and border trade center located across the border from McAllen, Texas. Matamoros, where Drake's great-grandmother was born, is located across the Rio Grande from Brownsville, Texas, and is an important port of entry and has a rich historical heritage. And Tampico, a major Gulf port known for its petroleum industry, beautiful architecture, and beaches. Martin and Monica are Drake's great-great-grandparents, and while I haven't confirmed which one of them is a DNA relative to my great-great-grandfather yet, I look forward to one day finding out. Another thing I found fascinating is that in a perfect scenario, with Drake's 2% African ancestry, that either Martin or Monica could have approximately 32%. I know it's a stretch, but my number-based brain and curiosity couldn't let me not imagine how this would play out. It's worth mentioning that at least a dozen of my first to third cousins, who are on B22 for our common ancestor Samuel, also share these DNA cousins with Mexican ancestry. And for as slight as the African representation was in these mexicousins' ancestral regions breakdown, Mali in West Africa was a recurring region. There are more observations and thoughts popping up the longer I record that I may include in a future video, so I'll pause here for now. One of my areas of interest in undergrad was Latin American and Caribbean studies, which integrated anthropology, sociology, and other cross-cultural perspectives. As a student of the world, there's a lot more I'm interested in exploring from a historical context, like Mexico's musical landscape, their connection to the Middle Passage, the African impact on coastal Mexico, and more of the possible backstories of those who made the journey from the mid-Atlantic coastal region of the United States, where my great-great-grandfather was born, down south and eventually southwest to present-day Mexico. But I'd like to know your thoughts. What direction do you think I should head next? Any suggestions on how to focus my research? What points that weren't covered in this video about my mexiconnection would you like to see more of? What kind of unexpected family connections have you discovered on your family history journey? Leave a comment below, and if there are any trending topics related to family history you'd like me to cover on the channel, or if you have personal questions about your own journey, email me at sleuthingsoul@gmail.com. This is your Sleuthing Soul, signing off. Hasta la próxima.